Hello and welcome to our complimentary webinar, which is brought to you today in partnership with Jabra, Auscontact's national titanium sponsor, as well as Verint, Auscontact's national gold sponsor, and it's entitled Delivering Rich Insights into CX. Today's webinar will run for approximately 60 minutes, and during that time, with the help of today's special guests, David and Kate, we want you to engage in the conversation, have your interest sparked, and provide some ideas to take back to your respective businesses. To round off the session, we'll be having a Q&A at the end. I'm Fiona Keogh, CEO of Auscontact, and your moderator for today. While we're waiting for everyone to join us, let's use the time to quickly run through some housekeeping. Remember, it's important to interact with us today, and you'll find out more soon, so that you maximise the benefit and you know there's no need to take too many notes because we'll be providing you with a copy of the webinar. To interact with us, please use the Q&A button on the control panel. You can ask questions or make comments for David, Kate or myself from time to time. Remember, we are going to have a full Q&A at the end of the webinar, so please type your questions as we go along so you don't forget to ask them, and you'll also be in the running to win a Jabra Evolve 2 85 headset, and the winner will be announced after the webinar. If you're listening through headphones or speakers and experience any issues with your internet connection, please note that on the control panel you can click the raise hand button and the Auscontact team will rush to your aid. Or you can just simply revert to your confirmation email that had the link to the webinar in it, and all the relevant phone numbers and access codes are available there for you. I know that many of you are familiar with asking questions, but let's just try out that Q&A button on the control panel now, just in case you haven't asked a question before. And the question for today is, I love my trick questions. Who produced or sings Titanium? Now, I did a little bit of research into this particular song because I could, and I found out that it's actually 10 years old. Doesn't feel like it's 10 years old. Now, the singer is an Australian person. Jackie knows the... as soon as I said that, it was like, everybody's got their hands on the keyboard. Yes, you are correct. It is Sia, but it actually goes under David Guetta's brand, although he doesn't really make any noise on it. But I guess when you're the producer and the co-writer of the song, that's going to happen. So there you go. We actually know how to use the Q&A button. Fantastic. So just to remind you again, keep asking those questions and you are in the running to win a Jabra Evolve 2 85 headset. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome David Piggott, Managing Director, ANZ Jabra, and Kate Zaruche, Customer Analytics and CX Practice Lead at Verint. And it's over to you, Kate. Welcome.
Thanks, Fiona. It's great to be here today. As Fiona said, my name's Kate Zaruche. I'm the Customer Analytics and Experience Practice Lead for the APAC region for Verint Systems. I'm very excited to be spending some time with you today, talking around customer experience and leveraging insights through voice of the customer. I want to start a little bit around the year that has been and what that looks like for our customers and how our landscape has changed. So we find we're now over a year into the pandemic and we're still coping with a lot of change, a lot of uncertainty, and quite a lack of control. So changes in customer behavior and expectations continue to change. We see the rise in preferences for digital self-service, as well as changes in the workforce dynamics. The likelihood is that we're never really going to return to exactly what it looked like a year ago. And while digital transformation has been underway for more than a decade, we're starting to see these dynamics have accelerated around its urgency and its importance. These changes are going to have a really deep and lasting impact on our industry. So there are a few questions that business leaders are asking at the moment. We're fairly common across the board. So how do we create differentiated experiences that are painless, and frictionless, that are connected and that are valuable? And how do we connect data and break down departmental silos across the enterprise to improve customer experience? How do we understand and act on behavior in real time when behaviors of our customers keep changing? And how do we elevate customer expectations with the same staff and the same budget? This last question is really key. So they led Verint to conduct some research to be able to quantify those challenges. And we called this study the engagement capacity gap. And it defines the gap between what companies know they need to do to meet customer expectations, along with the resources that they have to do it. More than 80% of business leaders that we surveyed in this study were concerned about challenges around managing customer experience that were introduced last year. Almost 75% of organizations last year planned new hires around customer experience, however, didn't pursue those due to both COVID and the economic conditions that sort of were correlated with that. And we still find that 50% of business leaders feel unprepared in how to navigate those ongoing disruptions. And we've had a lot of them, particularly in Australia over the last few years, nonetheless COVID. So we've had issues with flooding and bushfires. It's been an endless raft of experiences that have actually changed the customer landscapes and changed the customer's expectations. We're all stretched really thin in our roles, decision makers, frontline staff, executives. When we surveyed our respondents for the list of their concerns, it was amazing that we found 83% of business leaders listed more than 5 of these key elements as causing concern for them in their organization. A staggering 94% are concerned about how to understand and act on those changing customer behaviors. And maybe they should be. Customer expectations are changing in a digital first and easy and convenient environment. A consistent experience, no matter what channel they choose, is expected. They're expecting better than ever customer service and high quality self-service options, but key, they're expecting it to be easy for them to get through to a human when those channels fail them. So we're expected to sort of meet all of these demands, meet them in a simplified and adaptable environment with an adaptable workforce, looking at efficient and effective integrated solutions. So we're starting to see an increased rise in that augmented human and bot sort of relationship in our workflows, and greater workforce flexibility, enabling people to work from any location. And we're hearing this term used more and more often around work from home or work from anywhere initiatives across different channels and departments. And most importantly, when we look at our workforce, we have a younger and a more digital savvy workforce, and they expect to be equipped with modern apps and new workflows to help them maintain their level of engagement. This is what we see as the future of work. It really needs to deliver on the promise of the elevated customer experience, but also drive those greater operational efficiencies as well. So it's kind of no wonder that we're all feeling overwhelmed in this paradigm. We're coming out of 2020 facing, again, that significant engagement capacity gap. And it's really important that we're making strategic investments towards closing that engagement capacity gap. We can see here some of the top investment priorities for 2021. Voice of the customer experience management and speech and text analytics solutions are really key in this list of priorities for organizations. And it's also globally recognized that we need to invest in cloud-based solutions so they're flexible and agile to meet the ever-changing landscape that we're working within. What we're seeing is needed to close this engagement capacity gap are a completely new set of capabilities. So capabilities that power an evolving and a distributed workforce, which again is augmented more and more often by bots, tools that listen and to understand every interaction in the moment. So we can drive real-time assistance. That assistance could be to help a customer or to deliver coaching to an agent who's engaging with a customer in real time. We're looking at solutions that break down the silos across the enterprise. Customer engagement doesn't take place just within the contact center. It's an organizational initiative. It's a movement, not a process or a product. And we need to do this across all of our channels. Silos have to be connected to provide that seamless experience. We need technology that is open and enables you to rapidly change and deploy innovation. We've been working through innovation solutions over the last 12 to 18 months that in the past would take 3 to 5 years to actually go to market with. And we've realized that it is actually possible to do these things quickly and successfully. And of course, we have to build these solutions to drive real business outcomes and ROI. So we need to be connecting the work, the data, and the experience across the enterprise to make any impact on that engagement capacity gap. And it's a pretty tall order. So we want to talk to you a little bit today around how analytics helps to elevate the customer experience and to close that engagement capacity gap. We talked about new capabilities, and speech analytics is not a new capability. In fact, Grandview did some research late last year that indicates that the speech analytics industry in 2020 was just over $1 billion US. So it's a significant investment for a lot of organizations. There are traditional use cases that we see provide benefits within the speech analytics solution set, and they focus around agent performance, around operational efficiencies, and around customer experience. These traditional use cases still give great benefits to organizations, and they're not going away. However, with the widening capacity gap and needing to do more with the same resources, we've started to see speech analytics evolve into other solution sets around the use cases and around the way they're actually utilized. So we're seeing speech used, for example, in financial services to help with remediation of compliance issues, things like the mis-selling of credit card insurance, breaches to anti-hawking legislation. Every time you turn on the TV or the radio, one of our banking customers around the country are making news headlines with compliance issues. We're also seeing a real trend towards the solution supporting the organization's digital transformation efforts, which is really key in closing that engagement capacity gap. And it's really exciting in the way that these solutions work. So first of all, speech analytics can help you to identify what are the low value and high volume transactions that are coming into the contact center that are ripe for transition to digital channels, whether it be your website, an application, or to virtual assistants. Secondly, not only do they help support the intent, but they also aid in the development of the persona. So what is the language that customers are using to drive the intent, and what is the language that agents are using to provide the answers? The most successful virtual assistant should be mimicking natural language as closely as possible, and speech analytics solutions are playing a key role in this development. And lastly, when it goes wrong, speech analytics can tell you where it's going wrong, where customers are dropping out of those channels and being forced to switch channels to gain resolution to their questions. So where are those friction points? Driving these interactions to digital channels doesn't necessarily result in lower voice interaction. However, what we eventually see is more complex inquiries coming through this channel. Inquiries that require stronger knowledge, potentially a higher level of emotional intelligence and problem-solving skills for our agents to resolve. And this is where the newer generations of speech analytics products come into play. So real-time speech analytics or real-time agent assist solutions, depending on who you're speaking to, really support the in-the-moment guidance for agents to provide workflow support, real-time guidance and assistance and automation for the organization. And they really are increasingly being needed to meet those customer expectations around engagement, improved compliance, and reducing operational costs. In essence, solutions that help to bridge that engagement capacity gap. Some of the growth drivers that we see for real-time work they fall into the same categories as our traditional use cases around agent performance, operational efficiencies, and customer experience. So that in-the-moment guidance drives significant efficiencies right across the board. We've seen that giving real-time guidance can have significant and immediate impact on the outcome of an interaction as it's taking place. Again, going back to compliance, alerts in real time will reduce compliance risks, which are greater when working remotely. And working remotely also drives the need for new assistance tools. as we shift our frontline staff to working from home, it's created the need for real-time guidance, where access to supervisors or peers for support is not always as immediate as sometimes needed. And as consumers, we're expecting faster response times to new situations and potentially life-altering situations which have emerged during the pandemic. Over this time, we've become really dependent on digital channels. While we spend lots of time locked in our houses, we've had to rely on digital channels to get fast service and quality service. But when things go wrong, we always still pick up the telephone to talk to someone. So this technology makes real-time work possible. The solutions have been introduced in the past, though, and we know they haven't always been successful. So what's new now? The technology simply wasn't mature enough. However, with the introduction of AI solutions and also the power of cloud computing, these solutions we're finally seeing them at the point where they're having real and significant impacts on ROI for organizations. Some of the key case studies or use cases that we're seeing for tools like real-time speech analytics are things like driving awareness around customer sentiment. So agents can change their approach to make sure that the resolution at the end of the call is satisfactory. Next best action can be based on a set of triggers and allows the need for agents, it reduces the need for agents to rely on process flows, and it helps to predict the customer's next question, sometimes even questions that the customer hasn't thought of using. So what we find in the long term is we see a reduction in repeat calls as well. So we're preempting the customer's needs. We're able to identify the opportunity for a sale or for a cross-sell opportunity, being careful with those new compliance measures as appropriate. We identify where a customer is likely to churn, and we can actually match what we're hearing on the phone call with a desktop activity to provide the agent with some guidance to make a save offer to the customer based on the products they have, their lifetime value, or any other data that we can capture on the agent desktop. Again, coming back to the compliance, it's around giving those reminders around regulatory and process compliance. If you're going to make a sale and before you do so, a disclosure needs to be read or consent to proceed needs to be gained, reminders can be given to the agent at the relevant point in that conversation to mitigate risk for the organization. So there are lots of different use cases we're seeing around speech analytics and real-time agent assist. Transcription accuracy in real time is significantly more important than it is in post-call speech analytics, where it is still important. Displaying relevant guidance to agents at a time, like time and time again, at a point in the conversation where it's not really relevant, is going to lead to confusion. It's going to lead to reduced engagement, which is actually the opposite of what we want it to do. And it's going to lead to frustration and result in no benefit to the business. And we find even the best speech analytics solution, the engines sometimes get it wrong. Development of robust language models and the ability to tune this is really imperative. For organizations to be able to do tuning themselves is also really key. So having these really strong, agile solutions. However, there are ways we can actually reduce inaccuracies outside of the solutions itself. Things like piping in of white noise in contact centers to reduce background noise. And of course, headphones that are not only noise cancelling, but have noise cancelling microphones, presenting the highest quality of audio. And if this of course delivers the best quality results. McKinsey actually published an article last year called Technology and Innovation, Building the Superhuman Agent. And they talk of a world where contact center agents are supported by a virtual assistant that actively supports their conversation. So we need to make sure that the information that we're presenting to them is accurate. An intelligent bot powered by natural language processing and machine learning that monitors interactions can help provide personalized advice through integration, not only with your post-call analytics, but with other solutions as well. And there are already vendors working in the space. So we're seeing organizations support the delivery of these contact center agents of the future now. They're looking beyond the voice data and integrating with additional solutions to drive value and to drive accuracy in what we're seeing presented to the agent. And these all positively affect the engagement capacity gap. So doing things like adding in desktop and screen information and events to the linguistic attributes give context to the spoken word to increase accuracy. For example, if it, as I said before, as a disclosure statement is supposed to be given before the process of an application for a new product or service, the spoken word triggers can be matched to the desktop activity of the agent actually opening an application screen before sending them a prompt to read the disclosure. So we're making sure that we have the information delivered contextually, not just when we're hearing the language. Also, the inclusion of intent engines to drive personalization and next best action, as well as delivering knowledge management articles to the customers, gives us that contextual knowledge as well. Sorry. Verint is one of the vendors who are working in this space already. So we're working with organizations to drive performance and engagement of this hybrid workforce. And one of our newest solutions, we actually call real-time agent assist. The future's already here in this regard, and solutions are freeing up agents to focus on those outcomes, applying judgment, emotional intelligence, creativity, and problem solving to really drive those meaningful interactions, and letting the bots do a lot of the heavy lifting for them.
When a customer interaction involves a complaint or escalation, real-time assistance can be the difference between a satisfied customer or one who is lost to the competition. Now that many interactions are taking place over digital channels like chat or from agents working from home, real-time guidance and support are more important than ever before. Let's look at an example. Cassandra is a contact center agent. When she starts a call with a customer, the Work Assist window pops up to provide guidance. During the call, using Verint's AI technology, Work Assist recognizes the customer is frustrated and alerts the agent. Then it provides guidance to help her. Later in the call, the system recognizes that the agent has interrupted the customer several times as he tries to respond. The system coaches her to let the customer complete his sentence before responding. Towards the end of the call, and following the coaching and guidance to the agent, the customer seems to express positive sentiment and is satisfied with the call resolution. The Verint solution offers similar guidance during a digital interaction via chat. Let's look at an example. Cassandra is assisting a customer via chat. The Work Assist window opens to provide in-the-moment assistance. Now, Robert, her customer, would like to update his payment terms. The system recognizes that the customer is in good standing and that the agent is on the application page for updating payment terms. The system notifies Cassandra that she can provide an update to Robert's payment terms with no fee. She doesn't have to wait for approval or hunt for the information in other systems. What you are seeing is an RPA linked directly to customer engagement. No other RPA in the market today can do this. With Verint, you can use these solutions to improve your CX, reduce costs, and close the engagement capacity gap.
So as I said, the future is here. And we're starting to see real benefits driven from these sort of AI-driven capabilities. This is a little bit of research that was conducted by Aberdeen in 2020, and it looks at how contact centers utilizing AI capabilities to guide agents in real time see a far greater annual improvement around creating happy customers and ensuring customer loyalty. So we're seeing results like a 3.5 times greater annual increase in CSAT over organizations who aren't using these capabilities. And this sort of comes from uncovering where the inefficiencies are and addressing them in real time. So given this, it's not surprising that the same report sees AI-enabled contact centers seeing an 8 times greater annual improvement in reduced customer effort. And this is really key. NPS and CSAT scores give us a little bit of a litmus, but your customer effort scores have a more direct correlation with customer loyalty. Reducing those friction points and making it as easy as possible for customers to get the information they need quickly and consistently, regardless of what channel or which agent they're talking to, is going to be key in driving CX improvements. Soft skills being a little less tangible, kind of harder to deliver coaching to. So we're seeing items like active listening, empathy, and ownership to address issues. These things have a significant impact on CSAT, but they can be difficult to measure. Using real-time agent guidance is actually resulting in improvements in this regard also. So organizations are seeing up to 3 times greater annual increase in customer retention. So these stats are really important. So we focus on the customer. However, we've also talked with the engagement capacity gap around balancing the efficiency within the workflows. So when we look internally, we see similar increases. Contact center surveys show that an agent usually spends around 14% of their time finding the right information to help customers. So providing that guidance in real time has a significant impact on agent productivity. Having that information delivered consistently to every agent or in every chat means that we have a reduction in repeat calls, preempting the next best action or the next question a customer is going to ask before the customer knows they need to ask it. It's going to be imperative to drive things like first call resolution, which then leads to reducing your cost overall. So getting through more work with the same amount of agents is going to reduce the overall cost to serve, which means organizations using real time see a greater annual improvement across the board. And we're helping organizations to deliver these long-term benefits now for the business, for the agents to keep your employees engaged, and for customers around the experience, how they're feeling, where their friction points are, and how we're going to address those. Real-time work is a really hot new solution in the market. There's lots of vendors working in this space. It's a really exciting time to be working with speech analytics solutions. And remote work has accelerated that need for real-time guidance. So, we're starting to see this as we have more and more work from anywhere initiatives kick off. We're seeing this become more and more important. Think of the power of having AI-powered assistants at home on your desktop. It's the future. It's the future of work, and the future is here now. I'm going to hand back over now to Fiona to go through a little bit of a poll with us to see how we're tracking.
Thanks, Kate. Great insight. So, Jess, if you could launch the poll. And the question for today is, do you use AI in your contact centre? So you can only pick one of these 3 answers. Yes, it's deployed. Yes, it's in pilot. Or no. So, Kate, just while we're waiting to get David's screen up, what are you seeing?
We're seeing that a lot of organisations are in that pilot phase. We find that current solutions such as speech analytics, we know that our current speech analytics solution already has AI embedded within it, but AI actually really driving business benefits has been a little bit slow in the takeoff. We're actually starting to see increase more over the last 12 months than we have in the last 5 years. And again, I think there's been a lot of change and development in AI solutions. It used to be a bit of a buzzword, and now we're actually starting to see the benefits, and more customers are coming on board with these solutions.
Fantastic. Well, let's close the poll. And it's telling us that 60% have either got AI deployed, only 7% have actually got it fully deployed, 53% it's in pilot, and the opportunity is the 40% that are not using AI. So some great information there. So with that, let's hand over to David, a very familiar voice to Auscontact.
Thank you very much. So, usual question, can you hear me okay? Perfect. Okay. So, thanks, Kate, and thanks, Fiona. The reason Jabra and Verint have joined forces on this webinar is that our technologies fit hand in glove. I'll discuss today how the input to Verint's engine is super important and how our devices should be thought about in the contact center environment. Now, Kate identified a number of questions that we aim to answer in each and every customer engagement. How do we create a differentiated experience? How do we best enable contact center in the work from home environment, especially with today's COVID environment? And how do we better understand and act on behavior in the real time? So today I'll present to you just how important Jabra's technology is in delivering Verint's real-time speech analytics, and how this helps the agent solve our customer issues in today's increasingly complex environment. Oh, I should have scrolled a bit faster. So just slide 1. To understand how to benefit from this technology and the technology that Kate was talking about, I'm just going to lift a little bit on how it works. It all starts with a voice call between the customer and the agent. Generally speaking, the conversation is then converted into usable and storable data. The conversation is often converted into text so we can analyze the what. What is being said? What words are being used? Do we like those words? Do the words work? Then we analyze the paralinguistics, such as the pitch or the tone. Can we pick up the emotion in the call? And this is often a measure of whether the words chosen do work or whether they cause confusion. Then can we see this real-time emotion? Can we see emotion in real time? And from that, do we need to change the way we communicate the answer? Now, each of our agents have different, and they have different life experiences, and so are the callers. So then how do we translate our knowledge, which is our job as knowledge workers, how do we translate our knowledge into value for this individual? What's working? And then finally, we analyze the surroundings of the call, the environment. Can the agent be heard above the noise of the office, the call center, the home, the schooling kids at home, the flatmate? And if we bring it back, these 3 areas, the what, the how, and the where, all need to be analyzed in real time to ensure we deliver an experience with the customer that truly represents our brand value. Now, working with Verint, the biggest inhibitors to the success of this machine are 2 angles, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kate, so pile in some. But the first one is an inaccurate dictionary. And a dictionary is not just the language used, it's not just German or English or Swahili. It's also the subtle nuances in accent and colloquial speech. And often you have a dictionary which is specific to the industry. A bank will have different words used to a tech support environment. And so outside of the dictionary, the second most important area is the quality of the audio input. Background noise interfering with speech clarity is the biggest issue for AI in the call center. And until very recently, this was something that was super difficult and expensive to fix. I'm just going to try a video. Give me a sec.
2028.
So it started recording. So right
Yep.
now you're using the Evolve 240 and you're playing music through another device. So let's just play that music and see the quality. So when you're talking, we can hear a little bit of it, but it's noise suppressed. When you're not talking at all, like just don't talk for a second, we can't hear anything. It's like you're on mute. So right now it's recorded. If you just say maybe what you had for breakfast today.
Nothing. Black coffee.
There you go. See,
So-
you can see that you hear the music when you're talking because it opens up the gate for the microphone. Let's try the Microsoft one so that you can see the
Sure.
hear the difference.
All right, now I can hear you guys. Up
Yep.
to the beginning song.
Okay. So you're not talking at the moment.
Oh, all right. I'll just keep talking then. Sorry. Yeah. Well, I think it's good to have you on board as well, Lois. So if we can tell the difference.
Yep. Okay, that was perfect too. So I'll stop the recording now.
Now, that little video was filmed by members of my sales team on a live call with a customer. The customer could hear okay and assumed that that was all that matters. And this is like, I don't know if you've ever played hide and seek with a toddler, but when a toddler closes their eyes and they think they're hiding, and they're not. As agents and as people in the industry, we must concentrate on both the hearing and the being heard. And just because you can hear doesn't mean to say that the person you're talking to can hear. And this leads on to one of the biggest issues. It's around a poor word error rate. And if we have a poor word error rate, it will cause the AI to hear incorrectly. It will process the data incorrectly. Actually, it will process the data correctly based on poor data input. And it delivers a totally useless advice to the agent, both in real time and also when revisited for coaching. Input is a prerequisite for output. And if you look at the slide, we can see, the simplicity of I'm calling about my subscription, but when significant background noise is entered into it, it says I'm caught in my superstition. Totally irrelevant information because it's incorrect. As an AI engine input device, Jabra's Engage headset is the preferred choice because of its microphone design. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jabra is part of a company called GN. Jabra's official name is GN Audio. Jabra's our brand name. And our sister company is called GN Hearing. Now, GN Hearing is the leader in hearing aids. So if you see our marketing, we say that we really transform lives through the power of sound. And we really do. GN Hearing and GN Audio share research and development. Now, if you imagine that the hearing aid is like the Formula One car, and just like a Formula One manufacturer, we make all the components for the hearing aids in-house. We build each component ourselves. Then the technology in our hearing aids then filters down to our headsets as soon as generally available components are powerful enough to drive the technology. So just like ABS, started in Formula One cars, then it filtered through to the super posh sports cars, the Mercedes and the Porsches of this world. And now it's standard everywhere, in every vehicle. The microphone used in the Engage has gone through such an evolution. It has 3 sets of purpose-built microphones within the device, and they focus all of the attention on the voice of the agent. It blocks out the background noise and also protects the health of the agent. The Engage removes 20 decibels more background noise than even our closest rivals. Now, this is the equivalent, I'm not suggesting you do this, but this is the equivalent of moving your agents from taking a call in the middle of a busy motorway with the trucks whizzing by, and then you transport them from that environment and you put them into a local library where it's quiet. The noise of the trucks disappear, and the voice of the agent becomes the crystal clear focus of the interaction. Now, the other side is the Engage removes the harmful sounds from the agent through a thing called peak, stop, and safe tone. So it's certified for noise at work. And this certification shows the focus that we put on the health of the end user. High decibels, which are damaging or upsetting sounds, are then filtered out in real time. The final area of this is that the Engage normalizes the incoming sound so that the agent doesn't need to turn the volume up and down all day. And I kind of think of it, you remember when we first started streaming TV? You sit there with a whole family on the sofa. The show was fine, but then the advert popped up and they're like 1 million decibels. It's shouting at you about how important it is, this design of like a new mop head. And then how this mop head is going to make you sexier and have time to skydive and all that kind of stuff. But you rush to the remote control and you kind of turn the volume down. Well, imagine not having to dive for that remote control. And the Engage has this built-in normalization in the Engage headset. So it keeps the volume constant through the day, which again looks after the agent experience. I'll get this right one of these days. Now, just to hammer home the message about how unique the noise cancelling capability of the Engage headset is, this shows it graphically. It shows a difference towards our nearest competitor. Imagine that it takes the background noise levels away from that motorway and then magically transports the caller to a quiet library so that both the customer, the AI agent, can hear exactly what the agent is saying. Now, this allows Verint to process the voice in real time. It's taking that noise out and focusing on the agent. Now, we may not be able to control the input from the caller, but we can guarantee the input from the agent, and especially in today's COVID world, where the agent could be literally working from anywhere. The other thing to talk about is that the headset is in a unique position, as it is the only part of the contact center technology that is worn by the agent. You know, with all the brilliant algorithms that are being used to route and monitor calls, the agent only ever directly interacts with a keyboard, a mouse, and a headset. Now, without being mean to keyboards and without wanting to start some kind of social movement, keyboards are pretty dumb. They're a unidirectional input device, and as is the mouse. The headset, however, is packed with microphones and speakers and chipsets and batteries. Moreover, the headsets occupy a unique position as a body-worn technology. So why not use it for more than hearing and speaking? Why not make it a sensor, like an IoT sensor? When the agent is talking, the microphone opens up and hears the environment in which the agent operates. It needs to for the noise-cancelling microphone to work. It needs to hear the background noise so it knows what to cancel out. The Engage is unique in the market in that we make this available as anonymous data to be used by the call center. We have embedded our device with relevant sensors to provide data points that can only be captured right at the edge, closest to the human. And finally, it is critical that the headset is digital and integrated with the voice and analytics platform so that the audio and call control events are logged seamlessly. Go the wrong way every time. Now that we've introduced our headset as good providers of data, let's see what happens when we apply analytics. Here we have the main analytics you can get from Jabra's Engage headset as of today. Not only does the headset cancel noise, it also shows it as a metric. And so from here, I can use this information to understand where and when the noise happens. Perhaps a contact center could route calls around this information or use the data for scheduling or staff purposes across time zones, or maybe compare this metric to average handle times and see if noise correlates to longer calls. Conversation flow. Kate spoke about this earlier, about the ability to see the agent and the customer talking. Is there crossover? Is there silence? Coaching practices can be designed around silence, which indicate inactivity, or crosstalk, which could show breakdowns in communications, or it could even show arguments. Understanding behavioral patterns can be important. For example, pressing the button on the headset. How many times does the agent mute a call? Does it happen often? Did the agent just get a package from the front door just this one time, or is it a regular occurrence in their daily calls? Can I coach the agents using this information? You can also use this metric to see if the microphone or the speaker is working. The ability to troubleshoot a headset down to the microphone and speaker only exists in the Jabra headset today. So we can tell you, is it working? Do we need to swap it out? The final thing here is microphone guidance. Now, these amazing noise-cancelling microphones are sensitive to the position of the boom arm. If the boom arm is not positioned in the proximity of the mouth, it might actually start to cancel the agent's voice. So for this reason, we've engineered a feature called boom arm guidance that gives the agent notification if their boom arm is out of place. It literally pops on the agent's desktop to tell them to reposition the boom arm so that their voice can be heard. Proper microphone guidance is key to speech analytics and ensures that the customer can hear. And in this slide, we see how much these distractors can affect a call. By taking them out or by coaching around them, our devices can help improve average handle times. We can remove the bit where it says the agent's microphone is misplaced so that people are calling and I can't hear you. We can remove the bits where the background noise is interfering, again saying I can't hear you. We can analyze where the crosstalk is, because when you're both talking, neither of you are listening. Getting rid of that reduces the call. Now, this is a graphical representation, but a large bank in Australia deployed Jabra and found that in their pilot group, they could save 30 seconds a call just by removing the, sorry, could you repeat that? Or sorry, I will repeat that. The wasted time in not being heard or hearing properly was removed. Now, reducing 30 seconds, you can all work out the ROI on that. It's a huge saving in a contact center. And these features are not just a nice to have that can significantly affect the cost to serve. You know, if your center's running a do more with less strategy, you could increase your service levels without increasing the agent size. It just depends on the drivers for the business. Now, I'm just going to run a short video on Moneypenny. Now, Moneypenny is a customer of Jabra, Twilio, and Verint, and it shows the final stage of how Engager becomes a sensor. And in this situation, acting as a giant sea of color. So we've seen the Moneypenny use case where they integrated their analytics and pushed data to the headsets. But why is this important? It's because these lights can help manage the workforce by aligning with software applications that do the same as indicated by dashboards in this slide. Verint's data analysis can be integrated into the device to show the center and the center leadership what is happening across the floor. A pulse, a check. I like the one at the bottom where they got it yellow as a birthday, but it shows you when you're on the call, when you're busy, when you're having an issue. And the sea of color allows the leadership team of the contact center to see what's going on real time. Now, hopefully this session has been informative about just how important the input device is to the successful deployment of the AI call center. I'm conscious I've run a little bit over time for you, Fiona, but the headset is increasingly a crucial part of the delivery of real-time data to the center, as well as being the transportation device for voice. But thank you for listening. And if you would like to hear more, then please feel free to reach out to me directly, and I will hand it back to you, Fiona.
Thanks, David. As life would have it, I'm very grateful that I have my Jabra headset on. I'm sitting in regional New South Wales, and our plumbers and our bathroom renovators decided that the day was the day to start jackhammering. I am so grateful that it hasn't interfered with anything at the moment. So that's brilliant. So we do have a Q&A session about to start, but whilst the Q&A is running, we do have a poll that's being run, and we have a question, which is, what is going to be your technology investment priority in the next 12 months? And you can see a list of things. And would you like a follow-up call with Jabra or Verint? So don't forget, if you ask a question, you are in the running to win that Jabra Evolve 285 headset. And the first question that we have is from Jackie. And Jackie wants to know, have you had any instances of agents being threatened or frustrated by AI? Perhaps they find it condescending or distracting. And how would you address that? And I'm going to guess, Kate, that falls right into your sweet spot.
It certainly does. Thanks, Fiona. It's actually a really good question, Jackie. It can cause concern, which is why it's really important when we're using AI-powered solutions like speech analytics to augment that with desktop activity. Not so much around being threatening, but agents can be frustrated if we are giving them guidance around situations that aren't actually occurring. So the example I gave earlier was around, reading a disclosure around a credit card. You also want to make sure, if you're going to present a save offer to an agent, say this customer's angry and frustrated, waive this fee for them. You want to make sure that that's actually happening. So having the best quality audio, augmenting with other solutions, all of these things help to drive the accuracy, not only in the speech, but the accuracy in what the AI is delivering to the agents in real time.
Thanks, Kate. So, David, we have a question for you. And I love it when people ask questions like this. Does the Jabra analytics come included, built into the device, or are there hidden costs?
Good question. So some of the analytics come as standard. So there's a piece of software that needs to be deployed to manage a headset, which is called Jabra Direct, and the boom arm notification comes standard. The lights and the integration of the data we supply as a API. So it's freely available data that can be then used to integrate into the Verint platform or into the platform of choice. So all of the capability is there. We're not a software house. So our job is to deliver the information to the software house, which is the Verint of the world. Does that make sense?
Perfect. So Ashley has a question, and in brackets for David, so you're back on. Don't sip too hard. If the agents do not receive notification to adjust their microphone and they were to leave the microphone in their own positioning, do we know what the benefit it is for all agents to have that notification to adjust the placement versus leaving it in their own position? For example, would it likely increase the experience by 50%?
Oh, as in an exact number, I'd have to come back to you on an exact number. But if I'm going to try it now. If I just move my boom arm, does my volume go down?
Well, I must say you don't sound better like that, David. So,
so it's built for video, you see. So that's why the position of the boom arm is super important when we're looking at how do we input it into the AI engine, how do we work with Verint on it, how do we make sure that the voice is best delivered to the caller. The exact data on how much it's degraded by moving it out, I'd have to come back to you on that.
Okay, cool.
If I understood the question correctly, sorry, Fiona.
Yeah, they want to know how much that notification, if you relocate that boom, what is the likely improvement in terms of sound quality? So we know who asked that question, so it's very easy for you to research and revert, David. A question for Kate, and then we'll have another question for you. So Kate, you talked earlier about compliance. and it's a hot topic. It's not going away. So here's one that puts you on the spot. How accurate is your speech analytics?
Speech analytics, as David has sort of talked about, there are things outside of the control of the solution itself around accuracy. But within the speech analytics solution, where we use it for compliance, we create categories. So conversational accuracy and keyword accuracy is more important than having sort of a word error rate accuracy when using analytics. We don't do analysis on every word that an agent speaks. It's the keywords that indicate a particular topic is being discussed. With our compliance categories, so speech analytics is generally designed to look for trends in a large pool of interactions. So when we're looking for anomalies, we need to sort of flip the usage or the use case for speech analytics on its head. We need to look for the absence of terms and phrases. So we create our categories with the terms that we expect an agent to hit within a script. And let's face it, everyone personalizes scripting to make sure that they don't sound so robotic. But there are particular keywords that they need to hit. And if we have those keywords in a category, we can actually reverse the tool and say, show us the calls where every single one of these terms is not used. So they might hit 2 of the 3, or they might hit 4 of the 5, and they will end up falling into that compliance breach category. If they hit all 5, then obviously, we go through to the keeper and everything's fine. Where we usually try to reduce false positives in a speech analytics category, we actually want to increase, we're willing to accept more false positives as long as we don't have a large amount of true negatives. We want to make sure that we are getting all of the risk. We might have to listen to a few additional calls rather than letting those issues slip through to the keeper, where we're letting those issues slip through the keeper and we're not actually measuring it.
Cool. David, this is a very easy question for you. Jason wants to know, does the headset remove the need for a sound shield?
Sound shield's a competitive product. The simple answer is yes. The basic requirement of legal protection is covered by standard. The fact that we have IntelliTone built into the platform, it protects the agent from the excessive noises. When we're looking at acoustic shock, I'm going to say is very rare these days in contact centers, but acoustic incidents that are more caused by malicious callers potentially blowing whistles down the telephone, or by loud noise in the background, is what we should really be focusing on. And the simple answer is yes, it does. It has G616 compliance. It has the capability to remove the noise from there. And with the analytics that we now build into the Engage, we can actually track and tag the calls that are causing a problem, feed that through to Verint, so we can then tag it within their system and analyze it further. I hope that answers your question. More than happy to follow up.
Thanks, David. Look, we're almost at time, so I'm going to ask for closing remarks. We have a number of questions, so Paul, Belinda, and Tracy, don't worry, your questions will be answered, and you will still be in the running for the Jabra Evolve 285 headset. Kate, closing remarks from you.
Closing remarks. Don't be afraid. I can sort of see from one of Tracy's questions, don't be afraid around implementing these solutions. Positioning is everything. These solutions and these AI-capable solutions are not supposed to be positioned as a Big Brother tool. Position them with your employees, be open and honest, share success stories with them, and make sure everyone's going on that journey with you to understand where the customer success lies, where the agent success lies, and reach out if you have any other questions or want to have further discussions.
Thanks, Kate. And David, closing remarks from you. We are at the hour.
Right, very quickly then. When we're looking at the investment that we make in contact center technology, and particularly AI technology, the simple thing that is often forgotten is how important the device is for ensuring that the input into the Verint platform is accurate. It's a very simple thing to look for, but just make sure that you're using an extremely good quality noise cancelling device, and then the input goes well, the data analysis goes well, and the output is much more relevant. I think that's all I'd say as a closing remark for you, Fiona.
Thanks, David. Well, a huge thank you to everyone that joined us today, and a massive thank you to Kate and David for their wisdom and sharing such great stories. As national titanium and gold sponsors, it's lovely to see that partnership between the two organisations, but also to see that continuum, that one doesn't work well without the other. So you must be really joined at the hip, for want of a better term than an API. So with that, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day wherever you might be, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.